Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So just going to give you an update on some transfer news regarding Manchester United. As I do actually update you on regular basis. As you are all aware, we have got a lot of players on our agenda, who Manchester United could sign in January and of course next summer. It's good that Solskjaer though is making plans for the January transfer window. Solskjaer recently came out and said, he's looking to sign two forwards in January. But I think, we're orchestrating on making at least four new signings next year, because I recently said we need at least around 5 to 6 more signings, if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club. But I said I think we'll do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer, so we'll look to sign a couple of players in January, then we'll look to sign more obviously, next summer. But I did say in the next 3 to 4 windows anywhere, our recruitment has got to improve, because analysing our recruitment, it's been very, very poor for several years, and obviously the depth in our squad at the moment, isn't good enough. We did recommend 3 good signings to the squad during the summer. We spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So it was good during the summer that we did address some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. So I've already identified the areas, where Manchester United need to strengthen up. Obviously, we need a midfielder, because we are missing creative impetus in that midfield. Some people believe we need 2 central midfielders. We definitely need to recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera. We also need a striker, someone that can come in and assure us goals, someone that can be more effective in the box, and also someone that can create chances, because for the majority of this season, we have been struggling to create chances, and we do look very exposed in that attacking line, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. But yeah, it's good that he's making plans for January, and I think the board did assure at the start of this season that Solskjaer will be back in the next couple of windows, because I think the board realised that they didn't back him enough during the course of the summer. But yeah, a massive rebuild is needed at Manchester United. But, Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding anywhere, because, analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it isn't Erling and Solskjaer's. The vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's, because Jose Mourinho recommended 11 players into the football club. Now, obviously, Erling and Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them. So I just want to give you some news anyway regarding, he's called Erling Halland, and he currently plays for Red Bull Salzburg. Now, reportedly, this is stemming from the Italian press, saying that Man United are emerged as the favourites to sign Erling Haaland in January. Now, reportedly, Napoli, from their perspective, they expect Manchester United to complete the signing of him in January, because reportedly Napoli have pulled out of the race for the player. He is 19 years of age, so he's obviously very, very young. He is a striker. Don't forget, he's played under Erling and Solskjaer's guidance already, because, before he was at Red Bull Salzburg, he did play for Mold. So probably Solskjaer is keen on reuniting with the player. He is under contract with Red Bull Salzburg until 2023. I don't really know much about the player, to be quite honest with you. But he just said Man United are expected to sign him in January. But yeah, and I think quite a few other teams, have been in for this player. But do you think, it would be the right, calibre player for Manchester United? Do you think he'd be able to assure us them goals? So reportedly, Man United are likely to sign him in January. That's according to a number of media outlets. I think, it's actually, very, very probable that we are going to sign Mario Mandzukic in January. He's probably, the first player that we are going to sign in January is Mario Mandzukic. And take into the equation that, he's a cheaper solution, is Mario Mandzukic. Man United will only have to pay around £9 or £10 million for his services. So they're the 2 strikers we could bring in, Erling Halland and Mario Mandzukic. Mario Mandzukic is a good adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, he isn't a long-term replacement. I think Man United are prepared to hand Mario Mandzukic around an 18-month contract. Don't forget, reports confirmed the other week saying that Mario Mandzukic has slashed his wage demands in half from 300 grand a week to 150 grand a week in order to make his move to Old Trafford. Because don't forget, we inquired about getting him towards the back end of the summer transfer window. The only element of concern I've got about us recommending Mario Mandzukic is that obviously he's 33 years of age and he's only got a couple of years left in his footballing career. But I do admire his career because he's had a really, really good career. Obviously now he's been at Juventus 4 years. He's now into his 5th season at Juventus. But obviously since the recommendation of Maurizio Sarri, he hasn't played a single minute under Maurizio Sarri's guidance. So Mario Mandzukic is served his two requirements. But yeah, like I mentioned, he is a cheap solution. The good thing is that it can show the likes of Daniel James, Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial how to be more effective in the box. And he is still under contract with Juventus until 2021. So he's going to be our first signing in January, like I mentioned, and overall he's going to be our fourth signing under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. I hope Man United can sign James Maddison. He's another player, I hope, we can recommend in. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks going on about James Maddison. Obviously, it came out the other week. And he was actually stemming from David Oystein, who's a very reliable journalist. And, he actually said that Man United are expected to sign James Maddison within the next year. Obviously, he's well Premier League proven, so that's also very beneficial. He is only 22 years of age. Don't forget, Solskjaer had worked out his transfer policy during the summer. He obviously, wanted to recommend, young British players to the football club. Obviously, with the signing of Mario Mandzukic, that will obviously break Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer policy. But I'd love James Maddison in. I'd love him into the football club. He would be the right calibre player. He is predominantly an attacking midfielder, even though Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left quite a few times. We are aware that, he will cost the club a substantial amount of money. We'll probably have to pay in the excess of around 60 or 70 million pounds for James Maddison. Don't forget, we did business with Leicester during the summer. We obviously got Harry Maguire off them. We paid 80 million pounds. But Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. James Maddison still got 4 years left on his current deal with Leicester. He has still got 4 years left on his current deal with Leicester. There was talks about him possibly signing a new deal with Leicester. But yeah, he is into his second season now. But James Maddison is a player that can score goals. He can create chances, just like he proven last season. Because last season he created more chances than any other player in the Premier League. And, he's a really, really good player. Leicester paid around £20 million to him from Norwich last summer. But yeah, Man United were in for James Maddison during the summer. He wasn't, one of our main priority targets. We was sort of tentative linked to him. But he allegedly said, we've been in for James Maddison, since June. So he's another player on Manchester United's agenda. Don't forget, Jadon Sancho is also on our agenda. Don't forget, we was in for Jadon Sancho during the summer. We actually identified Jadon Sancho as our number one priority target back in January. But our move got screwed for Jadon Sancho, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say that was one of the main factor reasons that went against us during the summer, because obviously if you're not in Champions League football, then obviously, it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level. It's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level and that, so... this is why. But Jadon Sancho, again, I'm aware that, it would cost the club a substantial amount of money. We'd probably have to pay in the excess of around £100 million if we were to have any chances of getting him. Reports emerged out the other week, saying that Liverpool were in for Jadon Sancho. My own perception on that is I think, I don't know how he'd fit Liverpool's system, but I think Jadon Sancho would fit Man United's system, really, really well. He's predominantly a right winger, even though he can play him centrally. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund got him for next to note, basically. They only paid around £7 or £8 million in for Man City. Obviously, he was at City before he was at Dortmund. He served a couple of years with Man City, but obviously, with his obviously he didn't get a short first team opportunities, and this is the main factor reason why I left City to join Borussia Dortmund. But obviously, reflecting on his good performances in the couple of years he's been with Dortmund. Obviously, his valuation has persistently grown, but now he's into his third season with Dortmund. He's still under contract with Dortmund until 2022. But like I mentioned, I would be excited about the prospect of Jadon Sancho playing alongside the likes of Marcus Rashford, Daniel James, and Anthony Martial. I'd love him to come in to the football club, and he is only 19 years of age. Don't forget, Moussa Dembele. He's another attacker on Manchester United's agenda. Again, I think, we are aware, that Moussa Dembele will cost the club a substantial amount. He probably cost us in the excess of around 60 or 70 million pounds. Moussa Dembele is into his second season now in France with Lyon. It was obviously his debut season last season. He's obviously under contract with Lyon until 2023, because obviously when he signed for them, he signed a 5-year contract. Obviously Lyon did pay around £20 million to him from Celtic last summer, but he is a very, very good player. He's an out-and-out number 9. He can create chances, he can provide assists, so I do believe again he would be the right calibre player for Manchester United. He had a good couple of years with Celtic before he was at Lyon. Don't forget he did play for Fulham. He actually began his senior career with Fulham, so obviously he's had experience of playing in the Premier League. But yeah, hopefully Man United can make more signings next year. Don't forget Ryan Giggs recently came out and he actually told Ed Woodward to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least 6 more signings, which is obviously now very, very good. Don't forget Roy Keane came out the other week and he actually suggested that Man United should buy Harry Kane. Obviously Solskjaer had responded to those suggestions coming from Roy Keane, and he's an admirer of Harry Kane, but it's obviously very unlikely that Man United will get Harry Kane. He will cost the club a substantial amount. We'd probably have to pay around £200 million for his services. I don't think Man United only need to focus more on the incomings. I still believe there is more players that do need to leave Manchester United, so we need to obviously focus more on the outgoings next year, despite the fact that a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, and these still players here, from my perception, that are still no longer good enough to represent the football club, like I currently mentioned. Like I currently mentioned in that, and I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the last 3 games. He has done really, really well, because for the majority of this season, a lot of Manchester United fans, including me, obviously have been criticising Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics in that, because for the majority of this season, we have been tactically inept, but for the last 3 games. I think he's tactically got it right, so I'll credit him for that. And we have showed a lot of tactical flexibility. Obviously, in the game against Liverpool, Solskjaer went with a 3-5-2. In the game against Partizan Belgrade, Solskjaer went with a 3-5-2. And obviously, then in the game against Norwich, he reverted back to the 4-2-3-1. That was a surprise solution. But actually, for the majority of this season anyway, he's been going with that 4-2-3-1 formation. But we do know mainly it hasn't been working. Solskjaer obviously had his own perception. He had his own perception on this new formation. He said it's working very, very well. It also enables us to stick with 2 attackers up top. So obviously we played Chelsea this evening. I don't know if we obviously going to go with a 3-5-2 or we're going to stick with a 4-2-3-1. We will currently find out. But yeah, it's been very, very good in the last 3 games. 2 wins, 1 draw. And I think, reflecting on the last 3 games, the pressure has eased off under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because taking into account, before the Liverpool game, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was under intense pressure at the football club. And I think the last 3 games have probably saved, his managerial tenure at Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. It probably has. And I think, Norwich, was the best performance of the season, without a shadow of a doubt. Norwich, was the best performance of the the season. You know, we created chances in the game. We scored 3 good goals. There was a lot of good individual performances. You know, so I thought Norwich was the best performance of the season because. You know, but there's actually games this season. You know, arguably, Man United should have won. Obviously in certain games this season we've actually created chances, but we just haven't been ruthless enough in front of goal. And that in that aspect that replicates last season, because last season there was games where we created chances, but we just didn't seem to have that clinical element. We only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season. But yeah, it was a really, really good performance against Norwich. I was actually surprised with the current performance. But I think now, Man United seem to be changing. I think, the momentum is building, which is obviously now very, very good. And, I know we've enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. But, take into account, Man United have had a lot of injuries and that. Obviously we know now some players have regained full fitness, but we have still now got players out with injury. Obviously, Solskjaer confirmed recently the extent of Paul Pogba's injury. He confirmed the extent of Paul Pogba's injury, and he said he doesn't expect Paul Pogba, to be back until December. He doesn't expect him to be back until December. So Paul Pogba's out for at least another month. He's obviously had an ongoing foot injury that's been surrounding him, for a matter of weeks. And, he has missed 8 of the last 10 games for Manchester United in all competitions. So, obviously, he has been a big miss. But like he updated you yesterday, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's backed Fred and Andres Pereira, to replace Paul Pogba and that. So obviously he's relying on them, to add energy and creativeness in our midfield. Because my perception on Fred and Pereira, I think they've had, some good games for Manchester United this season. For a lot of this season, Pereira has played out on the right. Fred, in regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got element of concerns about that. I do agree in the aspect, that Man United did overpay for Fred, because we paid just under £50 million for him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk. But he's only been at the football club just over a year. He's only been here since last summer, so I would give him more time, because, like I mentioned, not every player does currently settle in. But I think he's done well recently, and he has played well alongside McTominay quite recently as Fred. And under the Mourinho era, Fred never really got the opportunity, so you can also take that into account. But yeah, Paul Pogba, will not be playing until December. That's been confirmed, and I do probably believe that Paul Pogba, does still want out of the football club, either in January or next summer, because I still believe his preference is a move to Real Madrid, just like it was for the entirety of the summer transfer window. But regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba anyway, we still need to, address that midfield. Alex Tuanzebe, obviously he's out. He's out over hip injuries. Alex Tuanzebe. He obviously was named in the starting 11 against Liverpool, but obviously due to the hip injury he had sustained in the warm up, he obviously couldn't play. So obviously Marcus Rojo had taken his place in the team. I don't know how severe Tuanzebe's injury is, so it's unknown when he will be back in contention. Diego Dalot, he's sustained quite a few injuries this season. Obviously he's our second choice. Right back is Diego Dalot. Well, he's one of the backup options anywhere. But I think he was out with a groin problem, not too long ago. So don't know when he will be back. Luke Shaw, he's out with a hamstring problem. Solskjaer recently revealed, saying that he's not too far away from returning to the squad. Is Luke Shaw? He's back in training. Luke Shaw hasn't played, since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season. He hasn't played, and he has been a big miss as Luke Shaw. I know a lot of people talk about him, suffering a lot of injuries, and he is injury prone. Is Luke Shaw, not to the same extent as Eric Bailly in that, but he's still injury prone. But I think, prior to his injuries and prior to his bad spell he had under Mourinho, he's had a pretty decent career with Man United. Shaw is now into his 5th season as a Manchester United player, and don't forget, he won the double player of the season last season. But obviously, with Luke Shaw's absence, quite a few players have been playing in that, left back position. Young, Brandon Williams, Rojo a few times has played there. But a lot of Man United fans now do actually believe that Brandon Williams is a much better solution than Luke Shaw, because a lot of Man United fans, now want to see him earn more first team promotions, because Brandon Williams obviously has played twice this season for Man United. He has played twice this season, and he has done really, really well. I definitely believe, he was the man of the match in the 1-0 win against Partizan Belgrade. Obviously, he was playing at left wing back. He recently signed a new contract, which was also, very, very good. And he actually, can become a success at Manchester United. Hopefully, can Brandon Williams, but another thing I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for, like I do keep mentioning, he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young upcoming players, and obviously the vast majority of the young upcoming players have been given their chances this season. Like I took into account that I've got some element of concerns, about certain young upcoming players. So this is why I believe we need to orchestrate on maybe loaning some of the young upcoming players out in January. Without a shadow of a doubt, we need to currently do that. But I can definitely assure that the likes of Mason Greenwood, Tuanzebe, and probably Williams, they'll all become successes at the football club. My perception on James Garner is that I can't really, really comment on him yet. He hasn't really played that much for the football club. He made his full debut obviously in the 1-0 win against Partizan Belgrade, and I thought again he played really, really well. That was his first appearance for Manchester United since the 3-1 away win at Crystal Palace last season. But so we have got a lot of young upcoming players and that in the squad. Obviously, we got Matic out with a minor problem as well. There was reports saying he could have an outside chance of obviously being involved tonight. Obviously Matic has initially lost his place in the team anyway. Reflecting on his bad run. Reflect on his bad run performances. He's lost his place in the team. Again, I do agree, that Manchester United did overpay for Matic. Obviously Matic now, is into his third season at Manchester United. I think he's one of the players that does need to be moved on next year sometime. Don't forget his current contract expires at the end of the season, but we actually do have an option to extend his contract by a further year. Recent reports said that Inter Milan are considering, making a move for him. But, we could actually try and cash in for the player in January. But Matic isn't getting any younger. He's now, 31 years of age. But I've got so many element concerns by him, too slow, defensively poor, makes that midfielder look totally imbalanced. So, yeah. Not good enough, to be quite honest. He's actually lost his place in the team to McTominay, but McTominay obviously this season has been a first team regular, but McTominay has deserved to keep his place in the team, reflecting on his impressive performances. Again, I don't know if he's a long-term solution for Man United, McTominay, but this season he's done really, really well. He's played between the lines well. He showed a lot of defensive contributions, so I have been very, very impressed with him. I really, really have. Baye's obviously out until the end of the year with injury. Fossil Mentu is out with injury. Jesse Lingard's just recently, recovered from a hamstring problem. He's definitely a player that does need to step up to the plate, Jesse Lingard, because like I mentioned, reflecting on his status at the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out. He showed dominant periods of dominance in the game against Partizan Belgrade and that, which was obviously very, very good. But yeah, I still believe his long-term solution for Man United is Jesse Lingard. But reflect on the amount of injuries that Manchester United have had anywhere. Obviously, we've had to Solskjaer's had to make alterations in the squad and that. But yeah, and I'll give you my perception on Marcus Rashford, and I think to be fair to Rashford, he has stepped up to the plate in the last couple of games. I have been very, very impressed with Marcus Rashford. He has done really, really well, because I did say for the majority of this season that Marcus Rashford has been mainly inconsistent. In comparison to his time, when he first broke into the senior squad with Manchester United. Don't forget, at the moment. Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. He's been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in the senior squad with us since 2016. But yeah, I think now he's starting to play. Obviously, he was injured not too long ago. But right, when Rashford's on form, he can get them runs in behind. He can create opportunities for himself. How old is he now? Is he 21, 22? Still got a hell of a lot of development in him. Yeah, and he has now scored 50 goals for Manchester United. Obviously scored his 50th goal in the 3-1 win against Norwich. Yeah, and Rashford, obviously, it was very essential that he improved anywhere, because obviously, he is a first team regular. Some Man United fans obviously believe, that Rashford is overrated. Martial, he's been absolutely fantastic since his recovery. He scored 2 goals in his last 2 games. To be fair, it wasn't so effective in the game against Partizan Belgrade, but I thought he put a much better performance out against Norwich. But Martial and Rashford should have had 2 goals each in the game, because don't forget, they both missed penalties, did Martial and Rashford in the game against Norwich. But Martial, he's a very, very good player. Obviously it got confirmed at the start of this season, that he has been given that number 9 shirt, because he does seem to be more effective in that central position, even though he predominantly plays out wide on the left. Just want to update you that Martial now has scored 52 goals for Manchester United in all competitions since his arrival from Monaco back in 2015. Martial now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. But if he can avoid sustaining any more injuries this season, I think he can score quite a lot of goals for Manchester United this season. But he is only 23 years of age. But yeah, he's done well also, since he's come back. But there's still certain players, like I mentioned, that do need to step up to the plate. But obviously, it was a good win against Norwich, because obviously now it's put us into 7th in the league, because before the game we was 15th in the league, but now we're 7th, and we are sitting just 10 points. We're sitting 7 points behind Chelsea, which is obviously still quite a big lead. But there's still a long way in the season to go. I said if we hadn't got off Norwich, then I think I would have fully disregarded the top 4, but it's actually still going to be hard for us, to get that top 4 now. But yeah, I think with this change of formation, I think it could turn Manchester United's season around. Well, I'm hopeful that anyway. But Solskjaer's confirmed for the game this evening against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. He will obviously not be playing the same team, as he did do against Norwich. So he will make a lot of alterations in the squad, and Solskjaer will see this competition as obviously to hand obviously more of the youngsters the opportunity in that. I think Solskjaer has assured that Brandon Williams and James Garner will be involved in the game, as he obviously has confirmed. And, Solskjaer obviously, has got a lot of honesty about him as well, and that's another thing I do credit him for. He's aware of, obviously, what's been going on this season. He's also admitted that Chelsea's youngsters are ahead of Manchester United, because Chelsea have got a lot of good young players. But Chelsea have rejuvenated themselves in the last 7 games, because Chelsea have won their last 7 games in all competitions. And, they've done really, really well, especially, reflecting on the injuries they've got. Obviously, Chelsea have got a few players that won't be playing for them tonight. They've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek out. They've got N'Golo Kante out, one of their imperative players. He's a good player, is Kante. He makes a difference in that midfield for Chelsea. Obviously he's won 2 Premier Leagues. He won Premier League in his first season with Leicester, then obviously went to Chelsea and won the Premier League in his first season with Chelsea. Ross Barkley's obviously out with injury. I think they've all got Rudiger out, Andreas Christian's out with injury. So Chelsea have got the same sort of extent of injuries as what Manchester United have got. But they've done really, really well in the last 7 games. But Chelsea did actually enjoy a really difficult start to the season. They really, really did enjoy a difficult start to the season. Obviously, Frank Lampard is their manager. Obviously, he got appointed in as Chelsea's new manager during this summer. Obviously, following the dismissal of Maurizio Sarri. Maurizio Sarri he only had a 1-year tenure with Chelsea. He won the Europa League with them. He progressed them to the Carabao Cup final, but obviously, that wasn't enough, to save his tenure at Chelsea Football Club. But Lampard's done really, really well, and I do credit him that, he hadn't been given any money to spend. Obviously, Chelsea lost their best player, during the summer, through Eden Hazard, who obviously served 7 8 years with Chelsea. And, he has done really, really well. And, I don't know if he's the long-term future for Chelsea Football Club. I've got the, same thoughts about Solskjaer and that. Obviously, they obviously both used to play for their respective, clubs, did Lampard and Solskjaer, so they are compatible in that aspect. You got Solskjaer that played for Man United for 11 years, you got Lampard that played for Chelsea for 13 years, so two long-serving players. So Lampard and, Solskjaer have both got that proven pedigree as players, but obviously haven't really got it haven't really got it as managers, because obviously Lampard only started management last season with Derby, and to be fair, he did enjoy a good season there with Derby, and that I think he progressed them to the playoff final, and that progressed them to the playoff final, did Frank Lampard, and he's obviously Chelsea's all-time leading goal scorer, with 211 goals. Don't forget Chelsea have also got a transfer ban, so they can't do any transfer activity, until next summer. But he is doing a really, really good job at the moment. He's Frank Lampard. Obviously, Solskjaer will be looking to beat him again, because obviously, we beat Chelsea by 4 goals to 0 on the opening day of the Premier League season. It was a very, very good result. It wasn't a 4-0 game, because, like I mentioned, we wasn't at our best in that game. It was actually Chelsea that were playing the expansive football. But this now, obviously, he's at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, going to Stamford Bridge is very, very difficult. And, our record at Stamford Bridge is absolutely abysmal, to be quite honest with you. We did win there, in the FA Cup last season by 2 goals to 0. We haven't beaten Chelsea in the league at Stamford Bridge since 2012, which is obviously almost 8 years ago now, is it? Something like that. But our record at Stamford Bridge, is actually really, really bad. But it's always a very, very good game. It's Chelsea and Manchester United. We did actually play Chelsea in the Carling Cup back in 2012. I think Chelsea did beat us after extra time by 5 goals to 4. It is, by the way, this evening 8:05 kickoff. But I am, really, really looking forward to the game. But like I mentioned anyway, Solskjaer, will rest some, obviously, he'll rest some key players, obviously, because Bournemouth is on the horizon and that. And obviously, we know the Premier League's a lot more imperative than the Carabao Cup. We know it's a lot more imperative than the Carabao Cup. But like I mentioned, I am really, really looking forward to the game. And if we can win this game tonight, we obviously progress into the 5th round, and also we will complete a hat-trick of away wins in space of a week, which is obviously very, very good. Because I said anyway, my away form needs to improve. Obviously we've won our last 2 away from home. Obviously Norwich was our first away win in the Premier League season, and our first away win in the Premier League, overall since February. So that just indicates how bad our away form has been. But reflecting on the last 3 results, it still doesn't really change my perceptions on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, I still believe he isn't the long-term future for Man United. I still believe that, to be quite honest with you. Obviously there's still probably a lot of Man United fans that believe he's not the right man for Manchester United. Don't get me wrong, us getting rid of Solskjaer now, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at the football club. And like I mentioned, maybe we should, still, give him another couple of transfer windows, to see who else, he can recommend to the football club. To be quite honest with you. So maybe he does still deserve he deserves more time. Solskjaer actually insists he's the right man to elevate Manchester United forward. Also, Ed Woodward has got the same perception. Ed Woodward, 100% insists that he's still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that, Solskjaer recently, did admit, that the club's transition has been very, very difficult, because obviously, we are in transition at the moment. But Solskjaer said, regarding the results this season, he has felt hurt by that. he has felt hurt by that, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, so Solskjaer hasn't really been at Manchester United now that long anyway. He's been in the football club overall now, for around 10 months. He's been at Manchester United just under a year. You can quite frankly say Solskjaer's enjoyed a difficult 7.5 month tenure with Man United. Because it's all gone wrong. Since he had got the job permanently. Solskjaer is obviously not on a 3-year contract with the club. And I think Man United have made quite a lot of mistakes in the last 6 or 7 years. And obviously one of the mistakes was obviously giving Solskjaer the job. We should have never given him the job. We should have waited at some point until the end of last season, or we should have waited at some point until this season to decide or not, whether to give him the job. My perceptions were different regarding Solskjaer, when he was the interim manager in that 3-month period, because, he did really, really well in that 3-month period. The results were good, the performances were good, he got the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations and that. And I thought at that point he was the right man for Man United. But obviously, over the course of these 7 months or so since he's been permanent manager, obviously my perceptions have obviously changed regarding Solskjaer. And I did say I want his tenure to become successful at Manchester United, because I do love him a lot. Like I mentioned, he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. Very, very good player. But my element of concerns I have got about him, like I took into account before, that his tactics have been mainly wrong this season, but his tactics got it right in the last 3 games. He hasn't really got any intuition on how to manage a big football club like Manchester United, Solskjaer. Because like I mentioned, before I was at Man United, he was at Mould. And he only won a couple of Norwegian titles in Mould. Obviously, before I was at Mould, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff. He only managed around 29 or 30 games for Cardiff, and then obviously, ended up getting the sack because obviously, he got Cardiff City relegated. Did Solskjaer? Some Man United fans feared earlier on in the season that if he was to remain at Man United this season, that he could replicate, at Man United, what he did do with Cardiff. But I said Man United will get relegated anyway. There's too much money into the football club. With the clubs are too big, so it definitely won't happen. I haven't been relegated since 1974, which is obviously over 40 odd years ago now. But I give my own perception on it, and I actually said, I think, expectations are too high for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United. And I did say our expectations, at the end of last season, and I mentioned it at the start of this season, that, the expectations will be for us to finish in the top 4. So in that aspect, we can get back into the Champions League. That's good. That's obviously our expectations. Obviously, Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations. I did assure at the start of the season, though, that, despite the 3 signings, that we did recommend in, I still believe, Man United, would not win the league this season or, mount any kind of title challenge up, because analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't obviously, good enough, to be win the league or to be, title contenders. We haven't won the league, since 2013. That's the most recent when we've won it, 2013. That was actually in Alex Ferguson's last season. So we haven't won it now for nearly 7 years, and I don't think we'll win it for at least the next 3 years or so, because obviously at the moment you've got City that are strides ahead of us. Obviously Liverpool are strides ahead of us. I like the quote Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out with though before the Liverpool game. He actually said that it won't take Man United another 30 years to win another Premier League title. So I liked what Solskjaer said. A lot of money has been spent at Manchester United. A hell of a lot of money has been spent at the football club in all the managerial eras. This is since the Ferguson era. Obviously, nearly £150 million spent under Solskjaer. Just under 400 million spent under Mourinho. Around 200 odd million spent under Van Gaal. Around 67 million pounds spent under David Moyes. So it's around 700-800 million pounds that's been spent, in the last 6 or 7 years on players. It's just under £1 billion, and that's not taking into account what was spent under Alex Ferguson. So it just proves always spending big on players and getting them Galactico players doesn't always, guarantee you success. We've also, got players on big contracts at the football club. I also want to take into the equation. You've got Rashford on 300 odd grand a week at just the age of 21 or 22. You've got Martial on 200 grand a week. Pogba on 290 grand a week, Lingard on just over 100 grand a week, Maguire on over 200 odd grand a week, De Gea on 375 grand a week. De Gea now actually is the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. But Solskjaer is our fourth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, 3 managers have been sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, David Moyes got sacked after he, endured 10 months at Man United. He had a really short tenure with the football club. Obviously, Louis van Gaal got sacked just after. He lasted just over a year at Man United, despite the fact he won the FA Cup, he still got sacked. And obviously, Jose Mourinho enjoyed a 2.5-year tenure at Manchester United, and he got sacked despite the fact he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season with Manchester United. But yeah, and I said to you, Man United have made mistakes, and we have made mistakes. I think another mistake as well from us was obviously letting Ander Herrera go, because you could arguably say that Ander Herrera, was one of our best players since the Ferguson era. Ander Herrera endured 5 years at Man United. You could say he had 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5 years he was here, because he did make a massive impact in that midfield. But it infuriated me more that we let Ander Herrera's contract run down and we let him go on a free transfer during the summer. So that was another mistake from Manchester United. One mistake Ferguson made, and that was recommending David Moyes into the job. I think Ferguson probably should have recommended Jose Mourinho in after his retirement. You could arguably say if we'd have got Jose Mourinho at an earlier period, then maybe it would have been a different scenario with Man United. So I believe that the club recommended Jose Mourinho in too late. So I will also put that into the equation. I'll also put that into the equation. Just need to put this down. So yeah, we have made quite a few mistakes. But I said anyway, due to our inconsistency and that, and obviously with our reflecting on our poor recruitment and that in several years and the poor selection of managers, the vast majority of the blame stems from the board. And like I mentioned, the board have been a liability for several years. And the board, for me, need to assure structural changes at the football club. Whether they can do this or not, I do not know. And there's quite a lot of Man United fans demanding our current board out. And, they're demanding us to recommend a new board in, to be quite honest with you. And I've got the same perception of Ed Woodward, he's also been a liability for several years. And you've also got a lot of Man United fans demanding him out of the football club. You've got a lot of Man United fans, demanding him out the football club as well. But definitely for the majority of this season, Solskjaer has been definitely accountable for some of the bad performances and that. But I think now things, could start, to turn around. Obviously, I haven't really seen any news lately, regarding a new director of football. Don't forget, we was in for the director of football during the summer. Obviously, there was quite a few former Man United players linked with the director's role. Don't forget there was speculation about Edwin van der Sar the other week. About him, possibly return to the club as a new director. But I did say, it would be beneficial to recommend someone who knows the traditions of the club, someone who's got that experience, and someone who would be reliable to obviously our transfer business. And Edwin van der Sar for me would be the right candidate. He's currently chief executive at Ajax at the moment, so we need to see a lot of structural changes at the football club and that. But we will see what happens. So. The main part of this video, guys, was to give you, the news regarding Erling, Halland, and all the other players that are on Manchester United's agenda. Yeah. So like I said, your match reaction for the Chelsea Man United game will be coming up tomorrow. Won't have time to do it tonight after the game and that. So hopefully Man United can get another positive result and we can progress into the 5th round. So anyway, guys, like I said, drop your comments, likes on the channel if you do consider subscribing as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.